President Trump says that he has seen evidence that the coronavirus originated at a lab in Wuhan, China, but he cannot make that evidence public. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence says that they are investigating that theory. So earlier today, we spoke to Ben Tracy about what the president had to say about that investigation, as well as other comments he made about the coronavirus.
Well, the president basically blames China and the World Health Organization for not giving out enough information early on about the spread of the coronavirus. But this is different from what the president did say early on. Back in January, back in February, he was praising China. He was saying that they're being transparent and that President Xi was doing a good job handling this virus. And yesterday here at the White House, the president basically intimated that he was praising China because he was trying to get the trade deal done at the time. And now that that is done, and he is seeing more evidence that perhaps they withheld information, he is being more critical. What was striking yesterday was that the president said that he has seen credible information that this came out of a lab in Wuhan. He would not say where that information came from because the Office of the Director of National Intelligence has said that they have not concluded that yet. And even Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said yesterday, we don't have the answer to that question. So the president seems to have seen something, or says he has seen something, that the others have not.
Yeah, it was sort of striking as well, Ben, to see the president of the United States, when he was made aware of the Director of National Intelligence statement with regards to that demand to know who released the statement to the reporter who asked that question. What was also striking, Ben, as you know, presumptive Democratic nominee, former Vice President Joe Biden, denied a sexual assault allegation against him in an interview this morning. The president was asked about the former vice president yesterday, and a not typical, muted response from the president of the United States. Presumably, Ben, as this race for the White House heats up, if the president is going to go after Vice President Biden for this allegation, he's going to have to do a lot of explaining about the dozens of women who've accused him of similar assault and inappropriate behavior.
Yeah, this is not a subject matter that the president particularly enjoys talking about, but we should note that his campaign is very much going after Joe Biden on this topic. But the president, you're right, it was kind of striking. He was asked about this yesterday. He could have unloaded on Joe Biden if he wanted, but he basically said, this allegation may not be true. He said that he, the president, knows a lot about being falsely accused. That's what he said. We did speak with the counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, just a little while ago here at the White House. She did not share the president's thought on this. She said Joe Biden should release all documents that are at the University of Delaware. She said that all women should be believed, and that if the Democrats want to say that when it's somebody accusing a Republican, then they have to be consistent about it. So right now, the president is the only one who is actually kind of saying that this might not be true, and we should give Joe Biden time to respond to it.
Let me just say, Ben, real quick, Marie, before we move on to this. I just want to just say one thing about that, Ben. As you know, the former vice president today, on the interview that he gave on MSNBC, did say that he was requesting for the United States Senate, which he says is where the complaint, the allegation would have been made by Tara Reade. He has called for the Senate to release any and all records with regard to that, although he was pressed on why not allowing the University of Delaware, which apparently has some of his papers there, to do the same. So just to make sure that people understand that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think, Vlad, that a little later on in the show, we're going to be sort of digging a little deeper into this one particular story, because it's a big one for today. But I want to ask you about something we talked earlier this week about, Ben. We talked about the vice president, Mike Pence, going to the Mayo Clinic and refusing to wear a mask. And, it was a pretty big deal. It's the policy of the Mayo Clinic to wear masks. Everyone else was. Then he visited a factory yesterday, and he was wearing a mask. We're hearing that the president is going to be heading to Camp David on the weekend. He's also going to be going to, I think, Arizona next week. Do we know if he plans on wearing a mask?
Well, yesterday the president was asked about this. He said that he has no problem wearing a mask if the situation calls for it. So if he goes to this Honeywell plant in Arizona and a mask is required, he said he would wear one. He then tends to kind of go on about this and say, if I have to give a speech, I don't know how I'd do that in a mask. And we should note, when they first unveiled these guidelines here at the White House a couple of weeks ago about saying that Americans should be wearing masks when they're out there. The president was the first one who said, I'm not going to do it, and you only have to do this if you want to. So masks are not something that he has been real strongly behind. So we'll have to see. I don't think you're going to see him wearing a mask as he gets on the helicopter here at the White House later today to fly to Camp David. As for the vice president, he did wear a mask yesterday. I'm told that the policy at that plant was made very clear to him. The vice president's office still contends that he was not told that he had to wear a mask at the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic says he was.
All right, Ben Tracy for us at the White House. Ben, as always, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.